think this country is still figuring out what it means to be a multicultural society. There is that tendency, I think, from mainstream to kind of flatten out other cultures, which is why we want the voices of Native peoples to be heard. Because when people are talking about their own culture, they bring a depth and an understanding that other folks don't have. It's not filtered through the lens of an anthropologist, somebody from more of a Western tradition. So it's a more authentic expression of culture. And you see cultures that are vibrant, we see cultures that may be threatened, but we also see a lot of cultures that are experiencing a renaissance. The Indigenous aspect of the Indigenous Film and Arts Festival is Indigenous content. We want the voices of Indigenous peoples to be heard. We have a whole range of artists, from student makers making their first time film to experienced directors. We have all ages and really all genres of film. We take a worldwide view. So we always have film from American Indians, from the US, from First Nations in Canada, but we also get film from Maori, from Aotearoa, New Zealand. We get Australian Aboriginal film. We have been getting submissions from across the world. In fact, this year we have our first film from Ethiopia. We have a theme with our film festival every year. This year our theme is connections between the people and the land, between and among generations, and also the connection between traditional culture and contemporary life. We are so honored and thrilled to have Radmilla joining us for the festival.
It was just the way she carried herself. It made me feel proud to be Navajo.
Hearing Radmilla is a film about various elements of my life. Produced and directed by Angela Webb, and she has been following me for 11 years of my life, and initially wanted to do the film on me being the first biracial Miss Navajo Nation. And of course, my life became more interesting over time. And so it just really was a film for her at that point that became something that we could use to help other people in regards to domestic violence, because I'm a survivor of domestic abuse and violence, that she, wanted to share my life story with people who could relate to what I had gone through, and also sharing the culture of the Navajo people. And I think that's probably the most important thing, because every element of my life is Navajo, is Dene.
Radmilla Cody is Navajo. She is a former Miss Navajo, and her reign was somewhat controversial because she is of mixed ancestry, Navajo and African American. She tells her story about growing up with her grandmother. So she grew up in a very traditional household, and becoming Miss Navajo is not like being Miss America. Becoming Miss Navajo demands a command of the language and cultural skills. So part of the Miss Navajo competition is to butcher a sheep. It is not what most people think of as normal pageantry. She tells that story, and she did get involved with somebody that became controlling and abusive, but we see how she worked herself out of that situation and has flourished as a singer and really become a role model for Native youth.
I had the honor and the blessing of receiving the 2013 Grammy nomination, as well as the Record of the Year from the Native American Music Awards. Our songs, as Dene people, encompasses our life. The art of singing, for me, is something that, that comes from within, the soul. And it's such a beautiful way to share messages and to connect with people, and to share in my case, the Dene culture. Even more beautiful, being able to sing it in the Dene language, a language that is still very strong, today, and a language that helped this country through with the Navajo code talkers, win World War II. So when I'm singing and I'm performing, it's really about sharing the culture of our people, and also just feeling sense of pride that comes with being able to stand there and share that, you know, with the audience and hopefully making that connection. They say music is universal, and it is. I mean, there's many times where I've listened to like African music. I don't know what they're saying, but I'm just like ba-da-bum, ba-da-da, you know, and I'm feeling it, right? Because you connect with it. You connect with it, and so I hope that the audience, when I'm performing, are able to connect as well, you know, with the songs that I sing in the Dene language.
Storytelling has been a tradition among Indigenous peoples around the world for millennia. It's part of the Indigenous tradition. Filmmaking has become a modern version of storytelling, so it actually is a very natural evolution, and it's a way for filmmakers to express their own stories, but it's also a way for filmmakers to capture the stories of the culture keepers, the elders, and even the younger generation that's coming up with, you know, more modern, contemporary interpretations of the culture. So it is a perfect medium for expressing Indigenous stories.